Hey everyone, it's Walker and Nick at Full Spectrum Laser, and welcome to Laser Talk Live.
That's right, live once again back here in Las Vegas, Nevada at Full Spectrum Laser, ready to bring you all things laser. What do we got on the agenda today, Walker?
We're going to talk accessories.
Accessories. What kind of accessories do we use for lasers?
So we have chillers, we have fans that blow, fans that suck. So we've got our extractors, we have our fans. And yeah, we're going to go through them.
Go through those, risers, rotaries,
Yeah,
other
risers,
such things.
rotaries.
Really the advantages of using these accessories with your laser systems and what type of customers might be looking to use them. Now, it's getting to be the summertime, it's getting a lot warmer, so a lot of people use their lasers out in working areas, out in garages and other outside work areas in which there's a lot of temperatures outside. There's a lot of those degrees. There's so many degrees outside. Right now in Las Vegas, I think there's like 100 of those degrees outside.
Yeah,
they're everywhere.
least.
There are degrees everywhere when you go outside. It's so hot outside right now.
Feels amazing.
Yeah, and it's so much better than all that chilliness. And dampness. We had some dampness in San Francisco when we traveled.
Oh, yeah,
it's
because we
very-
stayed on a boat.
Yeah, that happened. Anyway, so with this higher temperatures, especially if you're using a bucket to cool your laser system, you want to remember a few things. Now, what's something you can do with the bucket that's an easy add to help keep cooling temperatures down when cooling the laser tube?
So you could add ice. I've seen people freeze like 2-liter bottles and then throw them in there, and that actually helps cool the water for quite a long time, probably more than most people use it.
Yeah, that's actually one of the easiest ways to increase the usability of your your bucket as you're cooling your laser is just take a couple dedicated, it could be 2-liter bottles, could be empty water bottles, could be anything really. Just fill those empties up with water, freeze them in your freezer, and then when you go to use your laser, just throw them in your bucket. And honestly, that bit of coolant will, really that's almost better than some other methods of professional coolant as far as what temperature you can actually keep your water at.
Yeah, I've seen people, throw just a handful of ice cubes in there, and that even works in the right situation.
Absolutely. We have plenty of people who like to go to the fridge and just pull out the tray from the automatic tray maker and just dump those in the bucket, and that's enough. But let's say you wanted to solve a problem or really prevent having any kind of issue with your laser tube from overheating and make sure you're getting the most out of your cooling. Really what you want to have is a chiller of some form or another. Now, we have chillers from ranging down to our cool box, which has a very small passive chiller inside, which is great for a hobby-sized laser. And then we have two industrial-sized chillers. Why don't you tell us about those, Walker?
So we have 2 industrial-sized chillers that are active chillers, and there's the 3000 and the 5000. Now the 3000 has a little fan built in there that's going to pass over those copper tubes to keep it cool. And then we have the 5000, which actually is refrigerated. So you can actually dial that in and put that like right above freezing. And the cooler your system is, the more effective your beam quality is going to be.
Now, why is that, Walker?
So the actual gas inside the tube has an effectiveness range at a certain temperature, and the hotter it gets, that effectiveness of the actual laser beam is not so.
It's decreased.
Yeah.
So some people, they'll notice everyone's laser tube always seems to be not working quite as good as it gets into the spring and summertime. It's not so much that. It's more so that your ambient temperature has risen and your chilling effects on your tube really have just become a little bit less efficient. So sometimes when you see a little bit of drop from cool temperatures in the wintertime, especially to warm temperatures in the summertime, like it seems like just 2 weeks ago it was so cold at night that you need the heater on in the car. Now it's so warm at night here that really you could probably just leave the windows open and stay. Actually, it'd probably be too warm really with the windows open.
I'm dying, personally.
Yeah. So in between though that temperature shift, that's a big change of effectiveness of ambient temperature as far as using a passive cooling system with your laser. Now, with the 5000, you said you could dial in the temperature to just above cooling. Now, why would you want to do that?
So just the cooler it is, the better it's going to run.
Okay.
And the longer it's going to last. And you don't want, and there's going to be an alarm system on both these setups. So if it gets past a certain temperature, or even if the tube gets pinched itself and the flow is reduced, it's going to alarm.
Absolutely. So both of those industrial chillers will show you the temperature at which the cooler's running at, but only the 5000 you can dial in.
Yeah, because that's refrigerated.
Absolutely. So that is our chillers. Now, if you're wondering what kind of systems can use a chiller, really anything from the hobby system all the way up to your Pro Series lasers can use these active and passive chillers to increase the the effectiveness of your laser tubes. The two other things that you want to keep in mind with the chillers is they also increase the length of your tube's effective usage. So if you want to maximize the effective usage time that your tube has, keeping that water as cool as possible and using a chiller will really do wonders for the length of your tube. And then what's another good advantage using the chiller?
Man, we just hit all of them, I feel like. It's just a nice enclosed system that you can keep clean. I like it that you pour in like a gallon and a half into the 3000, and then you cap it off. You can add a little antifreeze to that to keep it from freezing.
Right, so even in the wintertime with a little bit of Dow frost, which if you have Dow frost in your system for the summertime, that's not going to affect it poorly, will it?
No.
Absolutely not. So what Walker mentioned is having that closed system where you don't have any sort of particulates getting into it from the air or any sort of dust or any really organic material that can lead to buildup of algae and other such things you'd find in an open water system, kind of like your pool.
Yeah, a lot of people who are running the buckets, if they are running a bucket, they will put 2 holes where the tubes go to reduce stuff getting in
By
there.
putting the lid on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So any questions coming in from Facebook about chillers? What's the best temperature to keep the cooler at? It's a good question from John Galloway coming in from Facebook. John, thanks for tuning in.
So I always say that it would be room temperature and below. Obviously, if you have the refrigerant, you can lower it down to just above freezing. That's always, it's never going to get to that point. It's never going to freeze because obviously it's warming up as it's going through the system.
Absolutely.
But you don't want to go over too much over room temperature.
So what would you say room temperature is?
What is it, like 83?
83?
Yeah.
72 degrees.
72?
It's typically room temperature.
I'm from Las Vegas.
So it's a little bit different here for room temperature. But keep that in mind. Anything else coming in from Facebook as far as questions on chillers? So sorry about that. Looks like that's it for right now. So the other thing we want to talk about is our filtration systems. Now this is a stacked layer from one of our fume extractors. Why don't you talk about this, Walker?
So our fume extractors are the option if you don't want to exhaust it out of a window or a garage and just have those fumes blow out. You are in a setup where you have to draw those fumes into an extractor, and yeah, so people in like New York studios who can't exhaust it out, or like a school or a library, something of that sort, that's a good look for you.
It's better. Probably better. Probably the best I've looked on the show maybe ever. Yeah.
So any sort of setup where you can't blow out the window, this is what you're going to want to use.
Now this isn't the whole thing. This is just one of the filters that go inside of the machine.
Yeah,
right?
I believe we got a little quick video of adorableness.
So we have 3 sets of exhaust filters. Right? A small FSL 100, which is basically used for hobby machines and very light use. You wouldn't want to use this for leathers or strong acrylics. This would be something that would be for light use inside the doors. But then the other 2 systems have bigger stacks there. On the FSL 200 and 300, you have different layers of filtration. Now you have carbon filter, you have a HEPA filter, and then you have what's the other one?
Shoot, what is the other one called?
What is the other one?
Are you testing me?
Yeah, well, I was asking.
I totally forget.
So, yeah, so you have
blanking.
So the carbon filter is the filter that's going to do most of the smell, hold on to most of the smell. So what that is going to do is it's going to neutralize the ions that are going through that filter and take care of a lot of the smell. Then you're going to but before that, you're going to have a HEPA filter, then you have a particulate filter. So those 2 filters work in combined to take out a lot of the things that are floating around in the vapor, and then to really knock down the particulate to being just a vapor. So as it goes through those 3 sets of filters, then it then just basically breathes out the what you'd consider clean air, where very little smell, very little moisture. We use them inside of our cutting room here in a closed space, and they work terrific. So those are the 3 different types of filters that you can are fume extractors you can use to filter air that are coming out of your laser system. Looks like we've got a couple questions coming in about the things. Jeff Hayes is asking, can you change the chiller readout to Fahrenheit? No, those are all in Celsius, as the systems they work on read off Celsius readouts. So if you're looking for a Celsius reading, Scott, could you give me a Celsius reading of what 72 degrees would be? So we have I believe it's around 28 or 29 degrees Celsius, if I'm not mistaken.
I was going to say 32, but I'm
32.
probably wrong. It's math.
Do we have another question come in? Oh, looks. So no, other way around.
Other way.
So
72 Fahrenheit.
yeah, you'd want 72 Fahrenheit for how many Celsius?
All the British viewers are gawking.
Yeah, so everyone that's bought machines in Brazil and further south.
Oh,
So yeah, about
22.
22. So 22 to 20 to 25 degrees Celsius is what you're looking for there, probably. James in Chicago is asking, what do the different layers filters do? We just talked about that. Liam in Arizona asking, why do I have to exhaust outside? Liam, that's a great question. Why do you have to exhaust outside? Well, you don't necessarily have to. That's what we were just talking about with the fume exhaust systems. You don't necessarily have to exhaust outside, but if you exhaust it inside, all that vapor that you're creating as you're cutting through your material is just going to be inside your space.
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna
you
get
don't have
smoky.
to exhaust it outside.
Yeah.
You could exhaust it into your roommate's room.
Yeah, you could also drive. You could also turn your car on inside your garage. We just wouldn't recommend, we just wouldn't recommend it.
You go do that.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to take that nap. So basically, to kind of understand that your laser is passing through the material, usually a organic material like wood, and that beam of light is vaporizing, literally changing state, taking the solid material into a vapor. So you have wood particles up in the air, so that smoke that's coming off is very full of little particles of wood and stuff. You don't really want to breathe that in. It's not necessarily what you'd call toxic by any means, but that's not something you want to have hanging out in your lungs. You'll definitely feel the effects. We had a problem where I had just smoke leaking into my office, and I had a bunch of coughs for a couple weeks. It was pretty rough. Now, what Walker has here is the exhaust fans that you use to vent out systems. Now, if you've got the cool box, you'll actually get a neat little exhaust fan that ports on right at the back of your Muse. But this is a accessory to get that. If you look inside, it's just a basic fan, and what this is used for is to exhaust the fumes from your hobby system outside. So this is what comes basic with your Muse hobby system or hobby series laser, and that with 4-inch ducting basically just runs from the back of the laser out to a window to vent those fumes and smoke.
Now this has like 230 CFM, and then we have the big guys for the pros.
Absolutely. So when you
It's
move
a
up to the
bit
Pro,
significant.
you actually get this 6-inch. Now, what's the difference in capacity between this and the smaller one?
This CFM is about 480.
480. So almost twice the capacity for the two different fans. And
I'll tell you, 4 times as heavy.
yeah, absolutely. And really, those Pro Series exhaust fans really do the trick. Those things are the real deal. And we have just one single fan passing up about 60 feet of exhaust line to our roof, and that does it without a problem. Looks like we got another question coming in about the exhaust fans. Oh, Dennis, how's it going, sir? Thanks so much for checking in. Jeff Hayes, thanks for watching again, sir. If President Carter's fault we have to figure out the difference between Celsius and Fahrenheit, you know, truth be told, it is President Carter's fault. We had a chance to go back to Fahrenheit, but that would have involved a few other things that might have been a little more difficult. A lot of people don't know the reason why we're not on the metric system is actually because the United States was founded on a lot of trading and bartering, and using a 12-base system, things divisible by 12, like dozens and things, you can divide that more ways. So you can divide it in half, into thirds, into quarters. So that's a little more diverse use of a number than 10 is. So 10 you can only really cut in half. Then if you cut that in half again, you're already in decimals.
Then it's, yeah,
you can't
0.5s.
Exactly. You can't do 10 in thirds. You can't
Difficult
do 10.
for Americans.
Exactly. So really, they just made all the all the trades and math for stuff a little bit easier with things like ounces and pounds and things like that and such. That's why inches have 12 inches in a foot, etc. Looks like we have one more question coming across. So sorry, Scott. Looks like you just pulled it up. Richard on Facebook asking, is the Hobby Series the right machine for cutting 3mm carbon fiber sheet? I think we talked about this last week, didn't we?
Yeah, carbon fiber is not good to cut.
Absolutely, yeah. That's not what you. If you want to see a little bit more about that, check our video from last week. We talk about the 3mm carbon sheet.
We'll get the link up here.
Yeah, we'll throw the link up there.
Hobby.
Another one? No? Okay.
All right, let's
Nobody-
talk rotary.
Rotaries. Now, we will throw another video link up over Walker's head right now, so it'll be right up over there, somewhere over there.
Yeah.
But we go through a full demo of the rotary. Now, this rotary has a bunch of neat features to it. Now, do you actually want to spin it around so we can
Yeah.
show that back Z-table ramp? What we'll do is we'll just tip this down just a little bit so we can see. Now, the rotary here, when you get it, you'll have cups of different sizes like this. Now this is a Pro rotary, and here, let's just slide it forward a little bit so we get a little bit more in the frame. There we go. I'll get a little more tilt so these guys can see a little bit. But in the back here, there's a really neat feature, right? This back knob. Now, as you can see, there's a height difference between the back of the cup and the front of the cup. And using this, there's actually a Z table, Z, what would you call that?
That's a
riser?
scissor. I would say a scissor lift, a Z.
Scissor riser, a scissor. Yeah, but as you can see, the cup now has a different attitude, and if you crank it up, you can actually get your cup to be perfectly level using just that simple riser. Then you lock it down back into position, and as you can see, you have now a perfectly flat, level surface to do your engraving on with your riser. Now, that's one of the biggest differences between the Pro and the Hobby Series riser, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say in general, a Pro and its accessories has more playability, if you say, lack for a better word.
Absolutely.
You know, room to grow and manipulate and get your job done.
Absolutely. So if you're considering picking up your first laser and you're planning on doing a lot of rotary attachments, consider either looking at a fiber laser system or one of our Pro Series systems that we have available. You just missed out on one of our best deals of the year, and that was our Pro 24 sale for $1,000 off. Hopefully we'll have another sale like that coming up soon, but be on the lookout for that. Still, all of our Pro Series machines are all so reasonably priced, to be honest with you. If you compare it to Boss or Trotec or other lasers in the same market, you'll notice that there's a big price jump to ours. And then if you really the next, I think, company that's really on the same level as ours, excuse me, I just had a little bit of a, it was a long lunch, would be like a Epilogue, which has another great rotary attachment, but we're talking a 4 to 8 time multiple price difference, those machines from ours.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference.
Absolutely, big difference. So it looks like we have, why would you want, okay, that's kind of a good question. So
Yes, rotary is my next purchase by Jason.
Where's that? Jason Cry. Yes, rotary is the next purchase. Jason, you're going to love the
It is.
rotary, man. It
is fun.
It is. I think it's the best is when you can kind of line up things that go all the way around something.
Yeah, it's definitely, there's like a learning curve when you're used to the just working with flat, and then you get the rotary and you're like, your mind's a little blown on how it works, but it simply just replaces a single motor, and it's very straightforward.
So we had a great question from Sam here actually on Facebook. Is everything included I need to operate the hobby laser, like the Muse? Is the exhaust fan, air blower, cooler pump, etc.? Absolutely. So your Muse comes in the box ready to go. You don't need anything else. You don't need to go to the store for anything unless you're operating using the water pump with a bucket, in which case you would just need a single bucket. But most Muses are shipping with Cool Box now, so and then all Pros ship with a industrial cooler.
Yeah, I was going to say, batteries included.
Absolutely, everything you need. And even a little project if you're getting your Muse on how to use a portion of your box to start off right out of the box making something cool.
Yeah,
We'll
project
stick a
software.
video for that up in the corner as well if you want to check that out. The Blast Off project.
Yeah, a lot of people ask if the software comes with it as well, and it does. It's built into your Muse.
Absolutely. So you never have to worry about software updates, upgrades, or anything like that with the Muse, as that's always, like Walker said, built right on there, and then updates are always happening automatically for you.
Yep.
Looks like, I guess we can go on to, this is actually, we got a great winner for our weekly contest this week, made at Tahoe, sorry, that is a lake just north of us here, but Made at Tahoe does these great little souvenirs for all different types of places. This is one of their examples there in the photo. Made at Tahoe, though, they have a great Instagram page. Check them out here. They make different things from, locations around, like Lake Tahoe here and Lake, Yosemite and things, but little neat boxes. Check out their Instagram page. Support them if you see their goods out and about. But congratulations to Made at Tahoe for winning this week's contest. Congratulations, well done, sir.
Indeed.
Those are great little souvenirs. It was fun to see that. We had so many people submitting to the FSL Weekly Contest. We actually have like an unbelievable amount of support coming in for the contest now. So keep submitting, keep going. We got a few people that are still in the running for weeks coming up. So if you've submitted before, don't think you're out of the running, but keep submitting great projects. We literally look at what's been submitted in the last week and pick our favorites. We have a few favorites that we're carrying over because they're just so good from weeks in the past. But keep submitting, resubmit. It doesn't matter, but use FSL Weekly Contest. Like I said, every week we'll send out a free, use the hashtag, right? FSL Weekly Contest. So we'll send out a free lens kit, which can do really cool things. Like, we'll grab one of these over here, right? You just did this for a live in the cut, didn't you, Walker?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you talk about that a little bit? You used a lens for this, right?
So we used the 5-inch lens, and that's going to make the laser head right about here. And then that gives you the depth of field to engrave inside this bowl.
So typically engraving inside this really tall bowl, that would be almost impossible.
Yeah, it would become a blob.
Yeah, absolutely.
Out of focus completely.
So using a 5-inch lens, being able to do the inside engraving on a neat bowl like this. And again, if you want to check that out, we just did this as a live engraving for one of our series we call In the Cut. So you can see the laser doing this live, no cuts, no camera tricks, nothing like that, no fancy Hollywood edits, no weird videos of people cutting leather in their kitchens, you know, nothing, nothing weird like that. Just the laser, just doing what it does with different examples. So check those out every Tuesday and Thursday. We do those at 4 o'clock as well. It could be a stone, it could be a piece of wood, it could be, what's something we're doing next? Oh, we're doing a wooden box.
We're doing wood box, mirrors.
Oh, we're doing a mirror this week as well in the Pro, so tomorrow we'll be doing a Pro, right? A Pro in the cut.
We should just start doing weird stuff with it.
Yeah, so if you have something random that you don't think could be engraved or you think we should try to engrave, send us a suggestion. We'd love to hear it. Put it down in the comments or elsewhere. My next item is a 1.5-inch lens. Jeff Hayes, you'll enjoy the 1.5-inch lens, especially for your detailed engravings and photo engravings. You'll get a big jump in detail. And really, I mean, I couldn't love that 1.5-inch lens more as far as the engravings are concerned. Like that difference we did last week, such a jump between the two lenses, absolutely. Looks like Troy's asking from California, do I have to run the air compressor when I'm engraving? I've heard that engravings come out better without it. That's actually a great question.
This is a great question, and actually sometimes it does come out better without the air compressor.
Now, when would you want to do that?
I would only suggest doing it if you're not doing a cut right afterwards.
Right.
Because you're going to want that air compression when you're doing a cut to suppress the flame. So if you're just doing a raster, definitely you can run without the air compressor, but I suggest cleaning your nose cone and your bottom of your lens when you're doing so, because there could be buildup, and if you constantly run without that air compressor, there'll be no airflow to clean all that out.
Gotcha.
So make sure to clean all that.
So keep that in mind. We did have some questions too about keeping your optics clean and your nose cone clean on your Muse. One of the most essential things to do. If your lens gets a crack in it, if your lens has a burnt-on abrasion, if you have built-on debris on your lens, it's going to severely affect the quality and ability for your lens to put the beam on target on time. Like if your beam is being split and it being distorted at the point, the most critical point of its path where it's being focused, it's going to give you the most trouble. So keep that in mind as you're keeping your optics, your mirrors, and your focal lenses clean and secure. Really quick, if you Google Amazon or other such places, you can pick these up at Walmart, Target, Lowe's, anything like that. They have little Zeiss lens wipes. Zeiss lens wipes. I'm glad you enjoyed that. That was just for Walker. So you can get a Zeiss lens wipe kit. I think you can get it for like
3 more times.
$12 on Amazon for a case of I think 50 of them, and that'll last you 6 months. Cool box question looks like. Would you?
Oh, Jim.
Thanks for the pug files, Jim Robinson. We're still waiting for that challenge file from you, but glad you got the pug files, and looking forward to seeing what you make with the that pug file we sent out to you, Jim. If anybody else has a question about a file that you might not see on the website that we've made before, anything short of the pirate airship that we made, we'll gladly send those files. If you want the pirate airship files, we'll send them to you, but you'll be doing, there's a lot of adjustments that happen. Like that was so much of it. That was a labor of love that Most of the things would fit, but obviously there were some tweaks that happened.
There's a lot of on-the-fly stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff on the fly. That one piece there, plus you'd have to source a bunch of random things like that. Of all the things that we've made before, that would be the one thing I wouldn't want to send out, only because it would
so specific.
Yeah.
All these little things.
Yeah, and like so many like bits of material that we just had, and that's the reason why we used it, because we had it there. So if you guys got a question about different files you've seen in different videos or such, please send it over. Ask Walker. He'll get on it right away. He's got nothing else to do all day.
Nope.
He's basically just playing on the computer all day, making stuff with the laser. It's a real tough job to have. I'll tell you.
Horrible.
What's that?
What? Nothing.
So what else do we have? Looks like
Jim says he sent files to me via email. So
okay, Jim, sorry about that. Walker will get on it.
maybe it went to my spam folder.
Could have gone
I'll
to the
have
spam
check
folder or
it.
something. We'll check that out. And Jim, I'll tell you what, by next week, we'll get that squared away, and we'll actually look at your challenge, and then we'll take 1 week to try to build it, and then we'll see what happens there. What else do we have on the lineup?
Jeff Hayes, our boy.
Jeff always checking in. Recommended engraving bottom up when doing acrylics.
Really depends on what you want with your acrylics.
Yeah.
It doesn't really.
On acrylic, I'd say that's the one spot. It's not that big a deal.
No.
The reason why you want to do bottom up engraving is because the exhaust is pulling the debris over your material as you engrave it. So as you engrave from bottom up, it's not the area that's already been engraved that gets exposed to your material debris. It's actually the part that hasn't been engraved yet. So the laser actually has a chance to almost clean up the wood as it goes back over top of it.
Yeah, and for the smaller systems, even more so. If you have a large 48, there's not so much draw on that huge thing
Absolutely.
that it really matters. But with the acrylics, like, it's going to be either frosted, like you're going to get a frosted look, and no matter what, you're going to have to clean that.
Right.
So I don't think it's a big deal.
No, but that does bring up a good point that once you finish an engraving, whether it's on wood or acrylic, having a spare toothbrush with just a little bit of water on it and giving it a good scrub is a easy way to take a lot of what you're doing and bring it to the next level. So if you notice all the little burn, little what do you call it, scorch marks on the edge of your burns near the kerf, take 2 seconds and either mask it off and peel that tape away afterwards, or just take a little, like I have a little sponge at the sink and a little toothbrush. I usually don't even need the toothbrush. I usually just use the sponge and just damp with water and a little bit of scrub, and it comes right off. There's nothing, it's not a lot of work to it, and the quality that your projects look afterwards just improve through the roof. Now, sometimes I want that look though. Like sometimes I'll do something where that kind of has a neat look to it, and a lot of times when you're working with wood, that kind of is the case. But a lot of times when you're doing professional things, especially when you're doing runs that business, like having that little bit of post-process work can just bring up the quality of your work a lot.
Yeah, I know some people use like compressed air besides a toothbrush, but I like a toothbrush.
All right, Jim, it looks like we'll get those, we'll email you back if we didn't get those files. We'll let you know. Looks like we still have a couple things to get through. What are we doing this Friday for 1 hour build?
So we're going to do cursive words. I'm going to show people how to make it. It's fairly like common amongst the laser cut people to make these, pretty cursive words, and I'm going to go through on how to make those and how to make them good and stand up, because a lot of people make them real skinny and breakable, and I'm just going to show you how to do it, what and what not to do.
All right, perfect. So tune in on Friday at 4 o'clock. Scott and Walker will be there to show you how to do really cool, basically what we could call those.
Cursive words?
Cursive words is what we'll call them, because we don't have a better name for them. That's how good our marketing department is.
Cursive words.
Cursive words. What I think is interesting about this project, though, is Walker's going to kind of walk you through a little bit of the design process on like what vector, it's not so much settings, but kind of what kind of vector theory you want to have as you're combining objects and making sure that you have words that not only hold up together, but hold up together with some strength.
Yeah, you don't want any floaters.
Absolutely.
A lot of people will leave the I on accident, dotted the I, and then they take it out and they're like, oh man.
Oh, my dotted I. Absolutely. So Walker will walk you through some of those things, doing it on, are we going to do that on the Pro or on the Hobby?
We'll do that on the Hobby.
Okay, so we'll be doing that on the Hobby. Now, people can use this and do them huge and do them for things like backdrops for photo booths, weddings, cake toppers, graduation parties, and really any kind of party.
That's what's awesome is they're completely scalable.
Yep.
You can scale it all the way down and all the way up.
So tune in Friday, 4 o'clock. Walker will show you how to do that. It's going to be a great project. Again, not a very difficult project, one that's very easy to understand and accomplish, but one that's profitable and a really good skill set to have on your belt.
A lot of people just do those. Just make that.
Yeah, it's funny that sometimes I think people overcomplicate their laser business. I think I see the most success with people when they stick to 1 or 2 products and they just do those perfectly. That's just their thing. So whether it's a cake topper, names like this, tumblers, what have you, they just perfect that process, and that's what they do.
Nice and simple.
Okay, so it looks like that's what we have. Make sure you're submitting for the weekly contest. Use that hashtag FSL Weekly Contest for that. As always, give us a few minutes of your time and fill out the survey if you have it. We always have the link down below. Make sure you just go down, give us a little click and a link. Let us know what you're thinking. We're always looking for different ideas on how to improve and get better. And like I said, we read every response and we really do take them seriously. Thank you so much if you've taken the time to fill it out before. If you have a moment, give us a subscribe, give us a follow. If you're watching us here on Facebook, give us a like over on YouTube or on Instagram. If you're watching us on YouTube, check us out on Instagram or Facebook. If you're not doing any of those things, go to our Twitter anyway. What else do we have? Pinterest. Check us out over there. We got a bunch of good laser stuff on Pinterest. And LinkedIn and Google Plus are also social media places that we post things on every day. So if you want to connect with us, one of those places that you are already connected anyway, and a bunch of free information always comes out, whether it's laser safety, free projects, or little things like this video here. But until next week, looks like, Steve, great show. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you watching it again, Steve. Steve's probably one of our most consistent viewers. We appreciate you always tuning in and having questions for us. But looks like that's all we have for this week. So until Friday, where Walker will come and show you how to do those cursive words and really talk a little bit design behind how
design
to do it. Which
is the main.
Yeah, the main thing this week. We're talking design. And like I said, if you have questions about that, make sure you can send them in before. Scott and Walker will be there for that video. Until then, or next week, live at 4 o'clock on a Wednesday for Laser Talk again. That's for Nick. Charles is behind the camera. Scott's always helping in the wings. And this is Walker. Until then,
keep making.